It was raining heavily outside, and the streets were empty. Except for the occasional car splashing through puddles, Layla, a young girl, barely 20 years old, was hurrying home from her long shift at a small cafe. She was tired, hungry, and her worn-out shoes were soaked through. She held a small plastic bag filled with groceries, and her thin coat did little to protect her from the cold rain. As she turned a corner, she noticed a man and a little boy standing under a flickering street lamp. Their clothes were drenched, and their faces were pale from the cold. Layla hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should ignore them, but something inside her told her she could not leave them there. The man looked at her with a polite smile, and the boy clutched his coat tightly around himself. Layla took a deep breath and walked over, offering them what little she could. "I have a small place you can stay for tonight," she said quietly. The man nodded gratefully, and the boy smiled shyly, following her to her tiny apartment. The walk seemed long, but Layla kept going, thinking of the blankets and towels she had stored. She opened the door and quickly laid out some towels and a blanket on the floor for them. She gave them some dry clothes she had and offered them warm tea, which they drank silently. Layla felt a strange comfort in their presence, as if the apartment was suddenly brighter than before. The man sat quietly sipping his tea, while the little boy looked around with curiosity. Layla made a simple meal of rice and vegetables, and they all ate together. The boy spoke a little, asking questions about her life, school, and family, and Layla found herself laughing for the first time in many days. She forgot about the long hours at the cafe and the constant worry about paying rent. She offered her bed to the boy and chose to sleep on the sofa, feeling tired but content. The night was long, and the rain kept falling, but inside the little apartment, there was warmth and laughter and kindness that filled every corner. Layla wondered about the man who did not speak much, but his eyes seemed gentle and full of stories. She drifted into sleep, thinking that she had done something good, even though she had so little to give. Morning came and the rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet and glistening. Sunlight peeked through the clouds, and Layla woke up to find that the man and the boy had already left, except for a card lying on the small table. The handwriting was neat and elegant. Layla picked it up, but did not think much of it, putting it aside as she got ready for another day of work. She continued her routine, washing dishes, cleaning tables, and serving customers, thinking little of the strangers she had helped. A week later, a sleek black car pulled up outside her small apartment. Layla was surprised and curious as a well-dressed man stepped out. His shoes shone, and his suit was crisp and expensive. She opened the door and could not believe her eyes. It was the same man from the storm. She invited him inside, and he smiled warmly, introducing himself as Mr. Zion, CEO of one of the largest companies in the country. He explained that he had never forgotten her kindness when she had nothing to give, and had welcomed him and his son into her tiny apartment without hesitation. Layla listened in disbelief as he continued, telling her how rare it was to meet someone so selfless and pure of heart. He told her that he had come to offer her an opportunity that could change her life forever. He wanted her to continue her education and offered her a full scholarship and a position in his company. Layla felt tears welling up in her eyes. She could not believe that one simple act of kindness had brought such a monumental change in her life. She thanked him over and over, feeling grateful and overwhelmed. From that day forward, Layla's life began to change. She attended classes during the day and worked part-time in the company, learning new skills and gaining confidence. She moved into a better apartment and no longer had to worry about her basic needs. She never forgot the night when she opened her door to strangers and the warmth she felt from sharing what little she had. Even as her life improved, she remained humble and kind, remembering how her small gesture had created a ripple of change. She made new friends at work and school, and every day she worked hard to achieve her dreams. She found joy in helping others whenever she could, volunteering at shelters and helping those in need. Her story spread quietly among her community as an inspiration to never underestimate the power of compassion. Months passed, and Layla's relationship with Mr. Zion and his son grew stronger. Met often for meals and outings, and she saw the boy grow into a confident, happy child. The bond they shared reminded her that kindness could create connections that were deeper than wealth or status. She often thought back to that stormy night and how a single choice had altered her path forever. She learned that giving, even when you have nothing, can create miracles in ways you never imagined. Layla continued to excel at work and school, gaining recognition for her dedication and intelligence. She never took her success for granted, knowing that it all started with an act of generosity and a heart willing to help. As Layla's world expanded, she began to dream bigger dreams. She wanted to help other girls like her, who struggled to survive. She started a small foundation to provide scholarships and support to underprivileged children, ensuring that they had opportunities to grow and thrive. She often remembered her own journey and the strangers she helped, and how life had returned her kindness tenfold. She inspired many people around her to act with compassion and generosity, spreading the message that even the smallest gesture can create a lifelong impact. Years later, Layla became a successful young woman, admired by many. She still kept her humble spirit, and often visited neighborhoods to meet families and children in need. She remembered the rain, the night she let strangers into her home, and how that decision had created a chain of events that transformed her life. She remained close to Mr. Zion and his son, sharing milestones and celebrations with them as a family. She understood now that wealth and status were temporary, but kindness and love were eternal, and she dedicated her life to spreading them. Every time Layla reflected on her journey, she felt gratitude for the stormy night that brought strangers to her door, and for the courage to open her heart. Even when she had nothing to give, she knew that life was full of unexpected turns, and that miracles often come in the most ordinary moments. Her story became a testament to the power of empathy, compassion, and courage, showing the world that one small act of kindness can change not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. She hoped that others would find inspiration in her experience, and understand that helping others is never wasted, and that generosity can lead to extraordinary outcomes. So Layla's life continued, full of hope, dreams, and endless possibilities. She faced challenges, but she met them with strength and perseverance. She celebrated her achievements and gave back whenever she could, always remembering that one rainy night when she made a simple decision to help a man and his son, without knowing that he was a CEO, and that her act of kindness would turn her world upside down forever. After the life-changing opportunity, Layla felt like she was living in a dream. She woke up every day with a sense of purpose and excitement. Her small apartment had been replaced by a cozy place, filled with warmth and sunlight, but she never forgot her old home and the struggles she had faced. Layla went to her new classes with determination, learning everything she could. She quickly adapted to the professional environment in Mr. Zayan's company, where she was treated with respect and given responsibilities that challenged her. She often remembered the night she let him and his son stay in her apartment, and realized that one act of kindness had opened doors she never imagined. She worked late hours, sometimes struggling to keep up, but her perseverance impressed her mentors and colleagues. She also spent time helping her classmates and coworkers. Whenever they needed guidance or support, she remembered how others had helped her in small ways, and wanted to pass that kindness along. Outside of work and school, Layla began to explore the city. She had never seen so many places in her life. She discovered parks, libraries, and museums, and realized there was a world beyond the small streets she had walked. Every day she spent weekends volunteering at shelters and community centers, teaching young children how to read and write. She found joy in seeing their faces light up with curiosity and hope. She also organized small drives to provide food and clothes to families struggling during harsh weather. Layla felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that her efforts were making a difference. She often reflected on her journey from a struggling young girl to someone who could now help others, and felt gratitude for the people who had believed in her. Mr. Zion continued to support her in many ways. He encouraged her to attend conferences, meet influential people, and gain experience that would help her build her career. Layla also spent time with his son, who had become like a little brother to her. They would go to the park together, read stories, and sometimes simply sit quietly, enjoying each other's company. She realized that the connection they shared was rare and precious. She also met other people in Mr. Zayan's circle who admired her intelligence, humility, and kindness. She formed friendships and networks that expanded her world and gave her new opportunities. Despite her busy schedule, Layla never lost touch with her roots. She often thought about her old neighborhood, the cafe where she worked, and the friends she had there. She would visit occasionally, bringing gifts and supplies for those who still struggled. She wanted to remind herself and others that kindness and compassion mattered more than wealth and status. She told her story to children and young adults, inspiring them to believe in themselves and in the power of helping others. Layla became a symbol of hope and determination, showing that even the smallest gestures can have life-altering Months passed. She faced challenges that tested her resilience. There were times when she doubted herself, felt overwhelmed, or questioned whether she could continue juggling schoolwork and her responsibilities at the company. But she remembered the night of the storm and the trust the strangers had placed in her. She used that memory as motivation, pushing herself to overcome obstacles. She learned to manage her time, prioritize tasks, and ask for help when needed. She also learned to forgive herself for mistakes and understand that growth often comes from struggle. She developed confidence and poise that impressed everyone around her. And slowly she began to see the results of her hard work. Her efforts were recognized when she was invited to speak at a youth empowerment event, Layla stood on the stage nervous but determined and shared her story from the night. She led a man and his son into her apartment, to how it had changed her life. She spoke about kindness, courage, and perseverance, and how even when you have nothing to give, your heart can create miracles. She looked into the audience and saw young faces listening intently, and realized that she had become a source of inspiration. She felt proud, not because of her success, but because she could now help others believe in themselves and pursue their dreams. Layla also began thinking about her long-term goals. She wanted to continue helping children and families in need, and decided to establish a foundation that would provide scholarships, mentorship programs, and resources for underprivileged youth. She worked tirelessly planning every detail, and sought advice from experts in education and social work. She wanted her foundation to make a lasting impact and provide opportunities for generations to come. She often remembered how a single act of compassion had set her on this path, and she felt determined to continue spreading kindness wherever she went. Her relationship with Mr. Zion and his son grew stronger over time. They celebrated birthdays, holidays, and important milestones together, forming a bond that went beyond friendship or mentorship. Layla learned valuable life lessons from both of them about leadership, responsibility, and generosity. She also shared her own experiences and perspectives, enriching their lives. In return, she realized that life was not just about personal success, but about building meaningful connections and contributing to the well-being of others. Through her foundation, Layla helped dozens of children gain access to education and mentorship. She also provided support to families struggling to make ends meet during difficult times. She organized community events and awareness programs, inspiring people to act with empathy and kindness. She often received letters and messages from people thanking her for the difference she had made in their lives, which reminded her of the importance of staying humble and connected to the community. She continued to balance her professional and personal life while maintaining her values and principles. Layla's journey was not always easy, but it was full of lessons and growth. She learned the importance of resilience, perseverance, and faith in the goodness of others. She faced setbacks, but always found a way to move forward. She celebrated victories and learned from failures. She also discovered the joy of giving without expecting anything in return, and the power of compassion to create lasting change. Her life became a testimony to the idea that no matter where you come from or how little you have, your actions can leave a positive impact on the world. Years later, Layla looked back at her journey from a poor young girl struggling to survive to a confident, successful woman making a difference. She felt gratitude for the night she had let strangers into her apartment, for the rainstorm that brought them to her door, and for the kindness that changed everything. She knew that life was full of unpredictable moments, and that even a small decision could have monumental consequences. She continued to live with purpose and passion, always striving to help others and inspire hope wherever she went. Her story spread widely, inspiring countless people to act with kindness, courage, and compassion. Layla became a role model and mentor for young women and men, showing that determination, generosity, and empathy can overcome adversity. She often reflected on the lessons she had learned and shared them through speeches, social media, and her foundation, reminding people that even the smallest act of goodness can create a ripple effect far beyond what we imagine. She never stopped dreaming and striving for a better world for herself and for others. In the end, Layla's life was a blend of personal achievement, meaningful connections, and service to the community. She remained humble, grateful, and dedicated to making the world a better place. Her journey from a poor young girl to a successful woman, empowered by kindness and opportunity, became a story of hope, inspiration, and the transformative power of compassion. She continued to live each day with the values that had shaped her life, and with the memory of a stormy night that changed everything.